Amazing grace, how sweet the sound she plays upon a whistle, to show you how she charged a pound behind the dog and thistle. Amazing grace is truly grand, gigantic Greta's grandeur. But if you want a lingering death, try merciless Miranda. Most Scottish girls are tickled pink by a sporran and a feather, but men in kilts should steer well clear of a girl called Prickly Heather. The chief of Clan McAllister, the Loganbridge Firth, once gave a ball at Kerrymuir to celebrate his birth, with enough supplies of whiskey for to fill the port of Perth, which naturally caused jollity, hilarity and mirth. And some folk drank till they were drunk, and others did the same, and some folk didn't bother, they were drunk before they came. The only man who didn't drink was flat upon the floor, and he'd been there since last year, sleeping off the year before. They were drinking in the pantry, they were drinking in the hall, they were hanging out the windows, they were hanging on the wall, and the bonny pipes were playing, but nobody danced at all. They were all too busy drinking at Loganberry's ball. Here were 20 kinds of whiskey there to everyone's delight. When someone asked for water, why, it nearly caused a fight. Some girls were drinking rum and pep and others gin and lime, but most girls didn't drink at all, they never had the time. Oh, the Duchess, who was 20 stone, could hardly keep awake. She threw off all her garments and she jumped into the lake. She terrified the fishes, who scattered pretty quick, and she floated in the moonlight like a Scottish Moby Dick. Oh, she frightened Jack the Ripper, she was such an awful sight. Then along came Jock the Kipper, who was hoping for a bite. He plunged into the water with his harpoon dripping wet, and he scored a hit amidships, then he gapped her with his net. They were drinking in the pantry, they were drinking in the hall, they were hanging out the windows, they were hanging on the wall, and the funny pipes were playing, but nobody danced at all. They were all too busy drinking at Loganberry's ball. A piper had so much to drink, how much he couldn't tell. He filled himself with whiskey then he filled his boots as well. He filled up all his pockets with as much as he could steal, and then he burst his bagpipes and he sprayed and ate some reel. A very drunk American in kilt and tartan socks sat by the lake at midnight drinking whiskey on the rocks. He climbed up on the castle walls for everyone to see, and he danced a jig and shouted, all the highballs are on me. They were drinking in the pantry, they were drinking in the hall, they were hanging out the windows, they were hanging on the wall, and the funny pipes were playing, but nobody danced at all. They were all too busy drinking at Loganberry's ball.
Good evening, hello, Scots, way hey and up your haggis. I'm Scottish, by the way. My name is Wee Willie McGobbles of the Clan McGobbles. My grandfather was the McGobbles of McGobbles, especially after the operation. Now, I am the president of the Institute of Scottish Tourism, or PIST. Now, how do you get to bonny Scotland? Well, first there's the old-fashioned scenic route over the braes of Alton-y-Sporran by way of the Quilt of Skilt, the Kyles of Bute, the Piles of Cute and the Pints of Milk, to Inniskilty, where old Angus McFungus can be found, flashing his sporran, tossing his caber and cocking his leaky down at the Elephant and Haggis Inn with Inverness Lil and others of that ilk. He will row you across in his Gaelic skiff for the price of a packet of cigarettes, £5.70. He smokes Balkan Sobrani and buys them by the gross. You'll be wanting to take the road to the Isles. Now you go up by Bannockburn, where in 1314 the patriot Robert the Bruce and his gallant clans routed the treacherous, lecherous English rabble who were sent to pillage our native homelands, the illiterate, drunken, murderous thugs. You'll be sure of a warm welcome there. Visit the Bannockburn Inn, where you can stand with your back to the fire and get your bannocks burnt. Now drive on past the modern fields of Flodden to the sodden field of Culloden, where you'll find a souvenir shop where you can buy Dr. Hamish Kinley's Book of Scottish Portraits, known locally as Dr. Kinley's Facebook. There's the great Scottish chef Mark Ronnie, who invented McTurtle soup, the Attic murderer Jock the Ripper, the famous fisherman Jock the Kipper, and the smallest Scotsman that ever lived, Jock the Nipper. Also the inventor of dentistry, Phil McCafferty. Now, on the road to the Isles, you can go up by way of Loch Lomond. You are now in the open Scottish scenery, not a hoose or a moose for 30 miles. And why? Because the grasping, greedy, grouse-shooting English landlords clear out the honest crofters so that the half-witted English chinless wonders could massacre the innocent Scottish birds. Speaking of innocent Scottish birds, visit the birthplace of lovely Flora MacDonald, the flower of the Hebrides, and the even lovelier Flora MacDougall, the self-raising flowers. So if you're looking for a tartan trousers, she's one. I must warn you that once in a while you'll meet hostility from the friendly natives. Just because you're English blackguards who for 7 centuries have cared nothing for Scotland and now plunder our Scottish oil, leaving us mortgaged to the kilt. God rot the English, may they fester with boils in the nethermost reaches of hell and never see Scotland in the World Cup after the bloody Sassenachs haven't even reached the last 16. So occasionally, when you ask for a wee dram of whiskey, you may get given a glass of Rory MacDonald's Revenge. 1 part of rancid haggis, 1 part of distilled ptarmigan, which begins with a P, and you'll be advised to do the same, and finally 1 part of stagnant bog water strained in the Trossachs, which is sorely painful. And you may be asked to drink the health of the great Piper Magroon, who was immortalised by the Jewish poet Rabbi Burns. Or sleek at the Piper Magroon, where have the clan Macaroon, or the skull of his pipes and the swell of his kilt, and the smell of his breath knocks you down. Well, that's Scotland for the new. And that is the end of the news. Next week, my colleague Evan Up 7 Up Jenkins of Wales will tell you how the filthy English invaders plundered and ravished his fair native sod, took the women from his homestead, the cattle from his farmstead, and the knobs off his bedstead. Good night, you filthy Sassenachs.
He was a soldier, Irish soldier, who wandered far away from Golders Green one day. He went quite barmy and joined the army, the Queen's own Highland 4x2s. And he worked in the cookhouse there, with his knees all bare, cooking kosher fare and serving Lutka soups to the hungry troops, far from Golders Green, his home. And how he proudly gave his kilt a swish when the band piped in the gefilte fish, and he'd prepare each stylish Yiddish dish, just like Mama made back home. But now our soldier, our Irish soldier, a man so bold and brave, lies in a hero's grave in some far corner of somewhere foreign. At last his sporrans come to rest. He sailed away for to fight the foe at some Highland show up in Scapa Flow. A flying haggis in a cookhouse brawl caused a poor young lad to fall. But now he's up there and he's grown some wings, and he's probably lost some other things. That's why an angel stands around and sings, 'cause there's nothing else to do. But like I told ya, that Irish soldier will never be forgot. Wherever soup is hot, his name will linger on every finger when pickled herrings are passed around. But never more will he serve a lobster ball. He has answered now that final bagel call. There's just a brown mark on the cookhouse wall where the haggis did its worst. But now he's up there and he can't go wrong, serving kosher meals to the angel throng. And there I leave him as I end my song, far from Golders Green, his home.